Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Classroom Matters with me, your host, Kristy Houle. And I am just beyond delighted to have Mr. Chuck Alphin with us today on the show. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Kristy?
I'm doing good. It is so good to have you on the show. How have things been going with you?
It's been going pretty good, actually. I mean, considering the times that we're in, I'm anxious to get back with our kiddos and get some things settled and get back into our routine.
Mm-hmm. So on today's episode, we really want to talk a lot about, you are currently with the Boys and Girls Club. And so we're going to dive into that. And we're also going to talk about the Kingian Nonviolence that you do as well with your father and some other folks. And so I want to kind of try to get into both of those, but I wanted to start with asking you, how are things in the state of Missouri as far as things opening back up, and how are people kind of handling the transition back into a little bit of normalcy? Because, we're in Illinois, so we haven't quite done that yet. You guys are a little further ahead than us.
Well, Kristy, I mean, I think they're taking it very slow. I'm liking the precautions that they're trying to instill for safety measures for Missourians. And I think basically people are going to come back a little bit slower. We have some people that are a little hesitant and don't think that, it's all clear. But again, I think what we have to do is take heed to the actual advice that they're giving us with, social distancing, washing our hands, keeping a mask on when you're around people, those things that, we can get back to business and keep those things. I mean, even if you go into a restaurant, me personally, I'm staying my distance. So, restaurants, some people are going into, I've seen people in restaurants now, so they are opening up. Barbershops and nail shops are opening back up again. So I believe, it's a slow but steady movement, and we'll be back to normal if we don't have another outbreak.
Yeah. And, it's funny that you mentioned that going back into places and sort of how the dynamic has shifted with just the way people are acting, because, I went to the eye doctor actually today. And like I said, we're in Illinois, so we don't have any of those things open yet. We're pretty much still closed down. And my eye doctor was even telling me, she said that they're planning on still wearing their masks even after they've been given permission not to, just because of the comfort level of certain patients. And she said someone came in that usually always gives her a hug, and they tried to give her a hug and she had to say no. And so, I kind of worry about the future of how we sort of feel about being close to other people, even when this is past. I sometimes wonder if this has just changed us for a really long time and how we interact with each other. But I guess you never know. You just have to wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, it's a new norm these days. Everything's new, and we're in an area that we've never ventured into before. I mean, in this generation for us,
Yeah. So let's talk Boys and Girls Club. So Boys and Girls Club is a huge national organization, and you work here in one of the regions in Missouri. So tell us a little bit about what is it that you're doing at the Boys and Girls Club, and what you guys are looking forward to doing this summer.
Okay, great. Like you said, I am with the Boys and Girls Club. I'm with the Boys and Girls Club of St. Charles County Club, and we have two locations. There's one location in St. Charles County, and there's one in the O'Fallon, Missouri, St. Peter's area there. But we are looking at opening back up June the 1st for our summer program. In our summer program, we take kids from the age of 6 to 18, and we have over 30 programs that we run. We're not looked at as like a daycare center or anything like that. We have a lot of what we call federally funded programs like Positive Action, Healthy Habits, Smart Girls, and Passport to Manhood, which is a program where we teach young men and young boys how to transition over to being a man. Same thing with the Smart Girls, but it's for the young ladies and teaching them how to be a woman and dealing with some of the everyday issues that they have, that they're faced with on each day, especially in today's society. So, I feel that this is great ground for our kids, where we get to instill some values, and we also get to build them up, because a lot of times our kids are torn down so much going into schools and just out in society uh, because they're being bullied. They're either cyber bullied, or they're bullied at home with their siblings, or somebody in school is picking on them. So we have to help them, build them up by what I do is I like to do positive affirmations with our kids every single day, letting them know, hey, look, that you are somebody, you're destined to be great, you can do all things, you're wonderfully made, and you're handsome, or you're beautiful. These things they repeat every single day. But, unfortunately, the times that we're in right now, we're doing these things virtually. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to us opening back up so we get an opportunity to see them. It's going to be a lot of anxiety for some of our staff that's coming back because they don't know. It's a new uh, uncharted waters that we're going to be in. And some of our staff their immune systems have been compromised, and they're still wanting to come in and see these kids. So, we're going to do everything possible for our safety to make sure that the kids are safe first and foremost, and that we're safe as well, and that we still give an opportunity to kids to learn, to have fun. And then at the same time, my biggest pet peeves is the bullying, and also making sure that their reading level stays up to par and that it doesn't drop, because we have reading as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have several programs. And so walk me through how that kind of works. If I'm a parent and I have a couple of young children, is that something that you go out and, look for kids to come in and join the program? Do you go to schools and look for kids? Do parents just come and find you and say, "Hey, I want to sign my son up for this program or that program?"
Right. Well, we do recruit. We're actually, since we're in the Fort Zumwalt School District and Francis Howe, we put out in what they call Peach Jar the information about the Boys and Girls Club, and we put out the registration. Basically, it's a $25 a year to become a member of the Boys and Girls Club, and that gives you access to take part in the summer or after school program. We have two different programs: an after school program, which after they get out of school, they can come into, and they just have to be a member. That's $25 for the year. And then the summer program, it's called Summer Blast for us here in the O'Fallon, St. Charles area. And the $25, you have to be a member, but it's every day. It will be from 7:30 to 6 p.m. Well, actually, we changed our days because of the pandemic. We're actually uh, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. We'll be doing it, and it's going to be $75 per child, and that gives them breakfast, lunch, or breakfast and a snack, and they bring their own lunch, their bag lunch. So that also, you know, gives them the opportunity to go through our programming for a 10-week summer blast program. Hopefully, we'll be able to open it up to a little bit more, where we, instead of 3 days a week, we'll get back to the 5 days. So we started off small. We're actually only opening it up for 30 kids
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah,
time
I
because,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, because we
Yeah.
have to put in kids in groups of 10 or groups of
Mm-hmm.
9. And with, we have to have the social distancing and the numbers of uh, the kids per the ratio, staff per the members. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's going to look a lot different this year, unfortunately, but kids will be safe, and parents will be able to, drop their kids off. When they do come in the morning time, we have a procedure where, parents won't be allowed to get out their cars now. We'll
Mm-hmm.
come to them, ask them the questions if anyone in their household's been sick. We'll also check their temperature. We're going to put a wristband on the child and bring them in. Same thing when they come back, we'll have a staff member at the door asking who they're here to pick up, and we'll get that child for the parent and get them back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
things will go smoothly. I know we're going to
Yeah.
have some hiccups, but we'll be on the fly at that time.
Yeah. Well, and I think, speaking to a couple of points that you just talked about, and I've looked at all of this information on the website, and it looks like it's going to really be a fantastic opportunity for kids that are ready to get back out there. It's going to be in person. There's going to be a lot of fun outdoor, and, engagement type activities. I wonder though, if one, and I know you don't have any way of knowing this right now, but wondering what your numbers are really going to look like, because there's a lot of folks that are still a little apprehensive about, their kids really being out there amongst other children when they're playing together. If your numbers are going to be really low, or if possibly you're going to see more people than you can actually allow to attend because people are wanting their kids to get back out there. Where do you think that's going to fall?
I think it's going to fall somewhere in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
Kristy, because I think, we got some parents that are going to need us for their smaller kids, and some of them have kids that are
Mm-hmm.
12 and older. We're only going to do right now, we've chose to go with our younger kids from 6 to 11. And anything over 11, we won't be able to take at this point in time right now,
Mm-hmm.
because we're only taking on 30 kids. Normally, for summer, I'm averaging about 100 kids, 100 and 110 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so what we're going to do is, we're pretty much right now at 27 kids. And if, we get more kids, we'll put them on our list, and then we'll shuffle them to our St. Charles location. And actually they can go to the St. Charles location and still get the same benefits that coming out to mine. I mean, it may not be quite as fun as coming out to the O'Fallon location, but still you'll be at the St. Charles location because I'm at O'Fallon, Kristy.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that definitely would make all the difference in the world. And I think that, the silver lining in this, Chuck, to me, is not only with your summer program and also what you guys will probably be gearing up to figure out what you're going to do in the fall, is we're all in the same boat. Every business, every camp, every educational organization, everyone's sort of learning and doing this together. So when you mention, there's going to be some hiccups, there's going to be some challenges. I think the good thing is that the majority of parents, the majority of staff members, the majority of the older kids are really going to be understanding of that, because we've all sort of been feeling our way through this for the last 12 weeks, however long we've all been going through this. And so, the extra precautions, the taking of the temperatures, which, by the way, I was in the eye doctor today, and this man came at me with this electronic thermometer. I had no idea what he was doing because he didn't warn me. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing there, buddy? With the coming at me in the eye doctor. And they did. They were taking everyone's temperature that came in the door. So I think that's great. And that's really going to make the parents feel at ease. And like you said, there's a lot of parents with some younger kids, and they have to have them doing something throughout the day. So why not this, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, and not necessarily, the kids that the parents decide that they don't want their child to come, we're still going to be doing our virtual programming as well. I mean, we're
Mm-hmm.
virtual on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays now, where Mondays we're doing just kind of like a check-in and healthy habits, where we're talking to them about making sure they're washing their hands and how
Mm-hmm.
long do you wash your hands, and questioning, and then just doing a check-in to see how they're doing, because, they get an opportunity to actually see some of the other kids in the club as well, some of their peers and friends. So they get a good laugh in, and then come Wednesday, they're back on again. We do again Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. on our virtual Zoom that we do for members. And then Wednesdays is what we talk about is money matters, and we talk about money at a young age and for all basically. And how do you handle your money, or what is it that you want to be in when you grow up, and how can you get there, and your goals and things of that nature. And then on Fridays we do story time. I have one of my staff members read a book out loud to them, and she reads the book, and then they ask questions at the end of it. So just kind of engaging the kids a little bit, because again, this is uncharted waters for us.
Mm-hmm.
And on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have also a YouTube channel up now, where I'm having some staff members do like a dance class, or they can also do a hip hop dance class or ballet. And then one of them will be actually aerobics, kind of like Zumba, or whether stretching and things of that nature. So, and we're encouraging parents to join in with their child when they do this.
Oh, I need to get in on that. Some aerobics. We've all done nothing but eat over the
You got to
last
get
two
that heart
weeks.
rate up. That's right.
Aerobics won't hurt me a bit. So let me ask you this, Chuck. So you've worked with young people for quite a while now, in as far as your careers and in your life, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So with your experiences with all these young folks and being surrounded by them through all of this, what have you seen their attitudes, mood, understanding be during the time of this pandemic?
Well, honestly, I think they're a little scared. Um, no, they're a lot scared. Let me say that. But they're still kids, and they're bouncing back on these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the main thing is that we ensure them that we're talking about safety, giving them good values now about washing their hands. I think that's probably going to be the best takeaway out of this, is that we're going to be more aware of washing our hands and not touching our face, and uh, hopefully not spreading germs, or when the kids sneeze. And, I know kids will be kids, but at least our staff can help them and continue to help them grow to an understanding of, hey, this is a new norm that we got to do. And I think the kids, we've got to deal with some mental issues as well still. That is very heavy on our hearts, dealing with these young kids. We've got so many of our young girls that are just say suicidal. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I have, it was amazing to me when that came into that, because I was looking at when I was younger, at least I didn't think it was that many people that were thinking about
Mm-hmm.
suicide. But today, in today's society, we have a lot of kids that are dealing with a lot of grown up issues. And, we've got to reach out to them and deal with the mental aspect of dealing with a child, or just not only that, but making sure a child has something to eat. We deal with
Mm-hmm.
feeding kids. I can't teach a child anything until I at least deal with the needs that they have, that they're not being met. So if I need to feed them, we feed them, because we want them to be healthy and not hungry. And then I can deal with the other thing with them, because it's about now this, we have a relationship. This is at my club, they are all family. And I tell them that you guys are brothers and sisters. We spend more time here than you probably spend at home, because you come here after school every single day. So as a family, we take care of one another. We don't bully people. We don't talk about each other. We lift each other up. And that's how I try to make it at our club. Do we have our hiccups? Yeah. And our problems and our little challenges? Yes. But, for the most part, we make sure that they understand that they are loved first and foremost. And then we want to make sure that we genuinely care. And I tell my staff members that, hey, a kid can pick up when you just here for a check, or do you really care about
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that what you guys are doing is so important, and especially now, because would you say that kids that already maybe are struggling with mental health issues, or some form of depression, or some form of suicidal thoughts, or eating disorders, that the quarantine and the state that the nation is in right now is just sort of making that somewhat worse, because now they're dealing with these things, and there's really nowhere to go. There's no out for them, because everyone's sort of just stuck inside all the time. Have you seen a rise in any of that over the last couple of months with kids?
I haven't, personally, because guess what? I'm inside too.
Right, right.
I'm I'm actually
Which is the
I
problem, right? So the people that normally help
exactly.
them aren't there for them. So are their symptoms
Exactly.
being exasperated because they don't have people to go talk to that they normally would turn to, and now those people aren't there. I wonder
Exactly.
about that a lot
You
with these
know,
kids.
when we're on Zoom calls, you can see their faces, they're bright. You can tell that they really miss us, and my staff misses them as well. And it's a great outlet for them. I mean, even if we're on there for 20, 30 minutes at a time, there's something for them to look forward to on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They know that we're going to be on there, and we're going to be uh, doing what we normally do with the kids, interacting and engaging with them.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, we're gonna switch gears here, Chuck. But before we do,
Okay.
because I want to talk to you a little bit about the Kingian Nonviolence, which is very near and dear to my heart, and I want you to throw that out there. So I want to talk about that. But before we do, I want to let everybody that's listening know all of the links for the Boys and Girls Club, the YouTube videos. We will put all of those links in the description with the podcast. So you should be able to click on those, get in touch with Chuck, get in touch with the Boys and Girls Club in St. Charles and O'Fallon, Missouri, and get your kids hooked up for the summer, get your questions answered. So I just wanted you guys to know that before we sort of switch over topics and I forget to mention that. So Kingian Nonviolence, I want you to give our listeners a little bit of background and just a little snippet of what that is and sort of what you're doing with that movement.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well, this is Kingian Nonviolence is something that I never thought that I would be in, because I believed when I was coming up, you mess with me, I'm going to be sure that I get you back. Mm-hmm. Because as I was raised, if somebody hits you, you hit them back. But now as I'm older, I understand that that's not correct. Even raising my child, I didn't whip my son, mm-hmm. And I realized that giving my son a whipping, it would only make him slicker, because when I was coming up, I got whippings all the time. And my dad now teaches nonviolence. I just wish he taught nonviolence when I was younger so I wouldn't get no whipping.
Listen, it's hard for me to see your dad, who I know, giving anybody a whooping. I don't know about that. But
see,
maybe when he was young.
Wasn't always nonviolence either. So I mean, I can truly say, Kristy, that this was a process for me. It was a pilgrimage, basically. And I don't call it a journey, because there's a difference between a journey and a pilgrimage. A journey is I leave from one position only to return back to that spot where I left from. Mm-hmm. A pilgrimage is I'll start from this position, but I'll never return back to that position again. So I'll never return back to the way I used to be. Whereas believing that violence was okay, and, believing that someone hits you, you hit them back, or I even believe that I was a bully at some point in some time with some people. But I didn't believe that nonviolence would work at that point in time. And it just happened to be that my life and the choices that I made when I was younger, as a young adult, led me down a path that was a dark path. And I had to make a choice at some point in my life to make a change. And had I not made that change, I believe that I probably wouldn't be on this earth today to tell anyone about it. But because I did decide to make that change in 2000, my dad was a nonviolence trainer. My dad was actually a policeman in the city of St. Louis over homicide and rape. Here in St. Louis, Missouri. And then after he retired, before he retired, he got into the philosophy of nonviolence. And actually, his partner, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, who was Dr. King's strategist, kind of came around the back door and taught my dad how to deal with conflict on a day-to-day basis, but using the nonviolence philosophy of Dr. King. But he did that when I was a little child. I was in high school at University City High School playing sports, and my dad became an activist because I came home with some deficiencies in school, and our rule was you can't play any sports if you don't get those books. Well, one day I came home with some D's, and he said, "Well, you know what you got to do? Turn that equipment in." So the football coach, the athletic director, everybody gave my dad a call and was, begging him to let me play. And he said, "Look, you don't even care about my son. All you care about is him running up and down a football field, because after this is done, he can't go nowhere but home." Couldn't go to no school because of the grades that I had at that point in time. So, he fought not only for just my grades, but he also fought for any athlete that was at that school, because the average at that point in time at University City was a D average of athletics. So that's how he got into the nonviolence and met Bernard Lafayette, who actually allowed him to use his church to have the parents from the school district come there and begin to organize and mobilize. And Bernard Lafayette led him from the rear, and the rest was history, because they've been partners ever since. And my dad says, the time when they went on a freedom ride, down to Selma, Alabama, Dr. Bernard Lafayette was on the bus, and my dad was with him, and he was like, when they called Bernard Lafayette up to the podium in Selma and gave him the key to the city of Selma, Alabama, for the work that he did with the voters' education, my dad was like, who is this guy? I don't know this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know Dr. Bernard Lafayette had done all these things or was Dr. King's strategist, was in the movement back in the 60s when all this happened, because he just didn't bring it out. He was humble enough, and he kind of went around the back in a Socratic teaching method, teaching my dad that philosophy. So once my dad retired, he had been taking trips from St. Louis up to Atlanta, Georgia, showing them the King Center and Birmingham, Selma, and Montgomery, educating folks about nonviolence and conflict reconciliation. When he retired, Mrs. King asked him to come to Atlanta. And he actually came to Atlanta, ran the King Center as a director of training and education. And at that point in time, I believe I was already in Atlanta. He came there and he ran Atlanta there, and I was still had nothing to do with nonviolence. But then in 2000, things changed for me, and I decided, okay, I need to change my life. And I realized at that point in time that my dad wasn't a bad guy to, model after and follow after. I had these things that I had to work out myself. So when I went to the University of Rhode Island and got certified when they did a training class. And the University of Rhode Island was Dr. Bernard Lafayette and my dad, and they did the certified training. That's where I got certified in 2000. And ever since then, I've been using nonviolence. I've actually started my own organization called Building Life Foundation's Nonviolence Center. And we do training, education, and research of nonviolence, and conflict reconciliation. So we've been all over the world teaching this philosophy. I've been to South Africa, Nigeria. We've been in Haiti, Russia, Israel, pretty much all over the U.S. and all over in some different countries where we teach this philosophy. And how do you make a difference using Dr. King's philosophy? We have to be. We were not born with the violence. We were taught, and the violence is a learned habit that we picked up. But we have to be able to understand that we got to get back to our roots, which is basically a love. We have to be able to show love to one another, not just, the humanly boyfriend-girlfriend relationship type of love, which we call eros, which is an erotic type of love. We have to be able to do what we call agape love. Agape love is unconditional. I love you because you are part of God's or the human creation. You're part of the creator. And we all are part of the creator. So I might not like what you do, but I must still love you. I can love you from afar if you do things that I really don't like,
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be able to show that, hey, we are humans. We are alike. We're built the same. We're just different on the outside and wrapped out on the outside different.
Mm-hmm.
So our biggest challenge is getting people to understand, hey, look, I don't mind the hustle that you do and you're out in the streets trying to get your hustle on and, make money for your family to survive. But what I am concerned about is let me change the way that you think or the weapon that you carry. So if you're carrying a weapon, I want you to change your weapon. Make your weapon your mind. Make your weapon that mind where we've got a weapon where we can go out here and learn something to help us to make a change and make a better life for us. Yes, it's easy to say and it's harder to do, but I guarantee you there's a lot of us that have made choices and decisions and learned a different way in life, because it is a nonviolence is a way of life, and it has 6 principles and it has 6 steps in which you govern your life by. I don't just teach this anymore. I live it. Now it's a way of life for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can definitely testify to that being the truth, because when I went through this training, and man, how long ago has that been? Years,
Yeah.
years, at least 9 to 10 years, because I've been away from the school district for 5 years now. And it was several years before I left. and it stuck with me. It's truly never left. That training that I went through in the bus tour, that I was able to go on with you and your dad and Dr. Lafayette, and it really. I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but it really changed your life. It made such an impact on me, that and it was funny because I'm so glad now when we went on that bus tour, and I don't remember what year that was, but I journaled while I was there. So
Mm-hmm.
I would journal every day, and I would journal every time we would make a stop, and sort of write about the things we were learning and seeing and experiencing, because until you're there and you experience it, it's a much different feeling when you're
Right.
standing on the side of the road at Viola. I could never say her last
Viola
name right.
Lauso.
Lausa, yeah. That really impacted me. And I remember that like it was yesterday, like standing on the side
Mm-hmm.
of the road where she was murdered,
Right.
for helping. And it just really gets you to your core. And so I think it's such an important thing for people to understand that this is out there. This Kingian Nonviolence is out there. There's training out there. There's bus tours that you guys offer. So how are you guys educating people with this? Are you going out and offering trainings? Or are you just doing the bus tour? How can we get the word out about people learning more about this Kingian Nonviolence?
Well, we are in some of the districts where we deal with Rittner, University City High School. I believe what's the school that we were at over in Rockwood? I believe it's
Mm-hmm.
Rockwood District as well. But they can get a hold of me via email, uh,
Mm-hmm.
or they can call me. You can call me at 314-680-7533, or you can reach me out and you reach me at my email, which is chuck.alphin, ALP as in Paul, HIN, at gmail.com, and we can set something up. One of the things, Kristy, when you talk about the trip, it is such a joy for me when I have young kids that we take on these trips and educate them, because I see in their eyes that they've never been taught this information before. They've never met people in real life, in color, that have actually were in the movement. Uh, they also began to see things in a different way, in a different manner about life, and about how do you change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the very beginning. See, nonviolence, we say, it's not something that we want you to go out and start talking to everybody about. Nonviolence changes you first.
Right.
Okay, it starts within. It has to start with you. And once it starts with you, then it'll begin to come out and people will see what's going on with you. And they say, wow, you're changing. We had a group that we took to South Africa, some kids from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, first we took them on the civil rights tour in the States. And then we did a trip to South Africa, a group of inner city kids in Atlanta that they raised the money to go. But it was a trip to South Africa so that we could study the struggle from apartheid to democracy and what role did nonviolence play in it. And so they spent 10 days in South Africa, and we actually did. We actually had from Johannesburg. We went to Johannesburg. We went to Durban, South Africa. We went to Durban, South Africa, and then we went to Cape Town. We went to Cape Town, South Africa. Once we got to Johannesburg, South Africa, you should have seen the kids. It took them a year to raise the money, and then once they got there on the plane, well, the day that we left on the plane, it was amazing. The faces, they were full of fear, but they were excited and joyful at the same time. And then when we landed on the ground in Johannesburg, a couple of the kids got off the plane and touched the ground and
Yeah.
kissed the ground. I'm sorry. They got off the plane and kissed the ground. They were happy to be
Yeah.
on land. But
Mm-hmm.
again, for them to see Nelson Mandela's home, they saw
Wow.
all kind of things. They met Mahatma Gandhi's granddaughter, Eli Gandhi. She came and talked to them. They also got an opportunity to see the 10-year celebration of apartheid.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also learned some more things about Soweto and the first young kid that about their age that got murdered in the Soweto massacre. So, they learned so much. I mean, from the United States and nonviolence, and then going over to see South Africa and apartheid that happened back in 1994. They were just right around the corner. That was when apartheid was still going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very close for them. And, we had a young lady that I call her my poster child. When she was actually there, we couldn't keep her because she kept going away from us. And I told her, I said, look, if you don't, I know you're excited, but you have to stay with us. We're in a different country and I can't lose you here in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if I can't keep you under control, we're going to have to send you back. So she was so excited and just wanting to talk to the people and everything. She got back and she wrote something, and she wrote it. She said that she'll never take water for granted again.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point, out of high school, her first year out of high school, she went back to South Africa and she started her own company. And to this day, she's still in Africa, helping young girls who are abused or raped. And she has started a house and a home there for these kids. So, I've seen so much from teaching this philosophy to, from in South Africa and in Nigeria, we trained over 20,000 plus militants that ran around with AK-47s and rocket launchers and teaching them this philosophy. We said, we understand that you're upset, but change your weapon. They're upset because oil companies were dropping oil in their backyard, and this is how they made their livelihood in the water. They were fishing, and it was killing the fish. So they said, well, you're killing the fish. We're going to go take the oil and blow up your oil rigs and kidnap people so we can make a living. So, those are some of the things. And then just to see these guys that the country has deemed them as stone killers, but when we go in, they couldn't believe that we had them all in a classroom teaching them this philosophy. Some of them couldn't read, some of them couldn't write, but we were able to teach them the philosophy. And one of the things that I learned from them was, they wanted to take pictures of us every single day, Kristy. I think I would take 50 pictures a day. Mm-hmm. And so one day I just asked them, I said, why do you guys want to take so many pictures of us? They said, so we can put you on our wall and we can remember that you changed our lives when we looked at you. I said, man, go ahead and take as many pictures as you want now. And it's just not just overseas when we get those. Even here in the stateside, people tell us that they've never even heard of this. They didn't know Dr. King had 6 steps and 6 principles of nonviolence and that you can apply in your everyday life. So our challenge is to get the word out here as much as possible. I'm making a challenge for Illinois and for Missouri that let's train 20,000 people in this philosophy, whether you teach it or whether you use it in your family. This works with your husband, your wife, your kids.
It does. I tried it out on everybody. It works. But really, it's what you're doing is with both the Boys and Girls Club and working with these, the youth of our nation and working with youth and young adults with the Kingian Nonviolence. It really all sort of comes together because it's so much more important what you're doing with these children and adults. It's not just children that need to know some of these things, but it's so much more important than a math lesson or a science lesson. Not that those things are not important and valuable, but to really get to a young person's core and have them really understand how to live their life and to be happy and to have that agape love, I think is just crucial. And especially in the times that we are now. So I just applaud what you're doing with both organizations. I always have had a soft spot in my heart for your dad, Charles. And so you just all doing wonderful, wonderful things. And so I'm so appreciative of you taking your time. I know you're super busy to come on the show and talk to us a little bit about that. And I want to make sure that everybody knows we will put all of the information. If you want to get on the Kingian Nonviolence website, the Center for Kingian Nonviolence, we'll give that information out. They can contact you through that. They can contact you through your email. Obviously, they can go to the Boys and Girls Club, but I want to make sure that people have the information after they've heard this to say, wow, I want to know more, and to be able to get in touch with you.
Right. Well, I am on Facebook as well under Building Life Foundations. And you can hit my website at blfnvcenter.com. That's B like in boy, L like in Larry, F like in Frank, N like in Nancy, V as in Victor, center, CENTER.com. That's our website. again. And you can reach me by phone at 314-680-7533, or just reach out and email me, chuck.alphin, A-L-P as in Paul, H-I-N, @gmail.com.
All righty. Well, Chuck, thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, thank you, Kristy. Also, I want to kind of really quick say that, we're taking kids also for next year, God willing, with the pandemic, that we're going to go to Costa Rica. So be on the lookout for parents or looking out to see if you want to do some type of learning abroad, study abroad, where we go to Costa Rica and learn about the cultures, because that's our biggest problem. We don't know each other's cultures. And until we can understand the cultures of everyone's nationality, we're going to always continue to pick at other people.
Yeah, agreed. So if you have any questions, you'll have the information to get in touch with Chuck. And this is Kristy Houle. It's been a great episode. Signing off for the Classroom Matters podcast.
Thanks for having me, Kristy.